welcome back to the channel, and today I want to try to create an omnidirectional treadmill. Now, this is something that I've become recently aware of. Apparently, Disney is working on this technology that is essentially an omnidirectional treadmill that no matter which direction you walk, it keeps you in place, and it looks like this. And it's actually pretty cool, and conceptually, I'm actually really I have weird feelings about it because I've played around with this concept on this channel 7 years ago. If I hop over to Stupid Vehicles Part 2 from literally 7 years ago, you can see the state of scrap mechanic here. I messed around with this concept of a vehicle that goes forwards and backwards and changes directions using wheels that spin in the same direction the whole time, but it changes which edge of the wheel is in contact with the ground, and that allows you to essentially float around in any of the directions that you want to go. So you can just see as the wheels change which edge they are in contact with the ground, it changes the functionality of it. So weirdly enough, that's exactly how this treadmill works. If we go back here, you can see as he walks in different directions, you can see the angle of all of these little circles just change which edge is in contact with the foot slightly. And then as they're spinning in the same direction, the edge that comes in contact with the foot changes what direction it pushes your foot. So you can just essentially make an omnidirectional treadmill just by changing the angle of the circles. So apparently 7 years ago, I was onto something and I didn't even know it. But now I want to try to see if we can create the actual omnidirectional treadmill in Scrap Mechanic, and I think it's gonna be harder to get something functional because of the game limitations themselves. The most obvious limitation right now is I don't think I can have the wheels be quite as like flush with each other, because I can have these be right next to each other, but I cannot put a wheel directly in between those wheels just because of the build grid. So it's either going to be there or there, and it's just not centered. So I think just the simplest way to do it is going to be a grid like this, where there's going to be a gap in between the wheels. And I think that's going to be fine as long as the object that we're moving around is big enough to come in contact with multiple wheels and not get stuck in the gap, obviously. The other limitation is I think it's going to be really hard for me to get these wheels to kind of rotate in place like this versus kind of rotating like this, where the wheel itself actually moves where the location of its center point. I'm going to try my best to just keep it as minimal movement as possible, but I think that is going to be the main engineering challenge, is just trying to get these things to rotate with minimal lateral movement. So this all really comes down to, I got to build a single wheel that can be controlled in all axes. And once I have that, it's just a matter of how much can the game handle me copy and pasting that before we lag out. All right, because like the obvious thing to do is to just place like a bearing. I should probably use pipe pieces because they're gonna have minimal collision boxes. All right, so as I was saying, the obvious thing to do would probably be just have like a bearing, and then that leads up into the wheel. Now the problem with this is we can only rotate in a single direction, but as you can see, oh no, we're gonna need so much more. We are going to need so much more, because if I want to be able to go in both directions. No, we can use a controller. No, I'm still going to need multiple. I'm going to need multiple bearings. I'm going to need 2 bearings per axis. So that's going to be 4 bearings total. We need to create something similar to like a turret, but the problem with this is the center point moves side to side as this rotates. And the further away it is from the rotation point, the more it's going to move. Can I build a mechanism small enough to be contained underneath a single wheel? Because these need to be right next to each other. That can make the wheel, like we need pistons going up and down like this. I basically kind of need a swash plate mechanism, which is going to make this a lot more complicated and potentially laggy, because I will need 4 pistons per wheel. But let's see where this ends up. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is like barely contained within a wheel, but it is contained within a wheel. Now, can I contain the rest of it in a way that makes sense? Okay, so we're starting off with this. Then we put the suspension on top of that. Now these ones need to be elevated because they need to be able to go through the suspension, and if they're on the same level as these pistons, they're not going to be able to do that. All right, so now I should be able to build through suspension. Can I put the suspension back on there? Wait, that doesn't work. I thought I should be able to build through suspension. I feel like I've done this before. Okay, there we go. Apparently the order that you build the stuff in matters. I don't think I need to double this to the other side. Oh no. Oh no, hold on. This is even harder. This is even more complicated than I was expecting. I don't know if this works. I don't know if I can build a squash plate mechanism like this. I think it's just because it's so compact, it's making it a lot harder for me to visualize how this can work. If it was bigger, it would be easier. Because I've done something like this before where I had like a big square board and there was pistons on all the corners and they would go up and down and tilt the board in any direction that you wanted. I essentially want to do that in a 3x3 grid. Maybe the problem is that I'm doing a plus sign and not an actual square. Here, let's start over. All right, maybe I need to start bigger. I keep trying to do it compact and I keep making it something that doesn't function. So if I do I know I've done this before. That's the annoying thing. I think I just got it. All right, so I press 1 and 2. I can tilt that way. 3 and 4 tilts the other way. 1 and 3. Yeah. Look at that. Is it possible to compact this into a 3x3? I have a 5x5. So worst case scenario, we can do this with the larger wheels. We're just gonna have even a harder time actually making it work as a treadmill. But look at, there is 1, 2, 3. There's 8 bearings and 4 pistons in this. The game's not going to handle a very large version of these. But this seems to do the job. Now, what did I do here and how can I make this smaller? I knew it was the compactness that was making it so confusing. I think everything is really conflicting. So I did a piston on each corner. And then I just went up. And then I focused on one side at a time. So I did like this. I can't have them be separate because one piece goes here. That's the problem. Yeah, these all have to be separate legs that have their own axes. When you're in a 3x3 grid, the legs, they can't stay separate and also go where they need to go without merging. Do I just use a large wheel? Oh, and then there's another bearing because the wheel has to spin. The wheel spins and then we move the wheel. All right, but we should be able to weld these next to each other. It's just a matter of how many. All right, but I also want, oh, the logic. We need to program up every single wheel. How do we make that easier on ourselves? How do we make like a modular logic system? Oh, yeah, so these need to be logic gates and not buttons. Oh man, there needs to be a forward, back, left, and right as well, because they all need to be oriented in the same direction. And then we need to be able to know which direction to tilt them. That's gonna be crazy. I didn't even think about the programming of them. It's not as simple as just put a bunch down and press buttons. All the buttons have to be routed to each individual, like each piston. Okay, so these need to all be OR gates. Okay, so now essentially, I'm gonna need a separate set of gates. So this is gonna be that direction, and this direction. What I mean is that this gate on this direction is responsible for tilting it in this direction, if that makes sense. So in order to tilt it in this direction, we need the opposite pistons. So basically the opposite pistons from the gate. And then this one goes to those two. So now essentially, where's my button? What we have is this button, this button, and this button, and this button corresponds to the logic gates that they're on top of. So now these have these control multiple pistons. So this one will tilt it to the right. This one will tilt it to the left. This one will tilt it forward. This one will tilt it back. We need 4 buttons to control those logic gates on every duplicate wheel. And that I think is literally, I just have to actually manually hook it up to every individual wheel. I could do segments. This is probably gonna end up being pretty small though because of the lag. I really hope we can do enough of this to make like an actual functional treadmill. All right, let me color code some of this though. Forward, backwards, left, right. Okay, so now let's do a prototype. Let's do not a prototype, an initial test. If 2 wheels are next to each other, do they have collision here? So now up, down, left, right. That way, those ways shouldn't be an issue. The way I'm worried about is this way. Okay. It looks okay. They are colliding and obviously having an impact, but the engine itself should override that, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, see? No problem. All right, I'm gonna try to do 5 by 5. All right, there's a 5. Let's just save this, and now we gotta duplicate this 5 times, but I wanna be welding it to something that's already welded to the ground because the game gets immensely more laggy when you're not welded to the ground. Hold on. I should do something here. I'm gonna make a universal control for this edge here. So this is gonna hook into all of the forward ones. So then what I gotta do is I gotta hook the buttons not into every single, all 5 of these, but I just gotta hook the button into these and it'll control the whole row. And then I'll have 5 rows of that. So then I only have to hook each button into 5 logic gates instead of 25 logic gates each, which would be 100 logic gates. So yeah, I only have to do 20 instead of 100. This is saving me time in the long run. Okay, so now this becomes the new module. And I want at least 5 of these to be supported. Okay, row number 2. Oh, we're already dead. All right, see, the game is fine now, but as soon as I move one of these. Oh, no. Look at the lag. Oh, that's so disappointing. 3 by 3? I mean, it is underwhelming, but I feel like it's the only real option. So we definitely lose frames. We get down to 15 frames with this. So this is not gonna be the most impressive Holotile, but hey, you don't have to deal with frame rate lag when you have a real life Holotile, okay? You just gotta deal with more realistic physics and also money. Okay, so this is easy. We just put the up one into all of that color. Down goes into the second color, and then this one goes into that color, and then this one goes into all of the orange. There we go. So now we should have forward, backward, left, and right. That's from this perspective. So this is where we'll put the seat, and we'll hook the seat up into the buttons. And then I'll also put a switch here. This is going to activate the engine. So now the difference, we're not going to have speed control. It's just going to be engine on or engine off. And actually, I'm going to want the engine slower anyway, because we don't have a lot of room, but we should be able to do everything now. Turn it on. Whew, look at those frames. Forward, backwards, left, right. This is also going to have the downside of, as it does this, it's also going to be lifting. Because ideally, we would have the pistons aren't canceling each other out. When I press a button, one side of the pistons is going up and the other side's doing nothing. Ideally, we would want them to have to be a 0 point. One would go negative, one would go positive, and that would keep the edges, that would keep the wheels more level. But right now it's just pushing one side up. So it's definitely that's definitely a limitation to this. But now I think a little bit faster than that is gonna be better. Yeah, I think that's gonna get the point across. Now we need to put something on it. Is the Omnifloor, is the Holotile a thing? Omnifloor, that's not even, Omnifloor kind of sounds right, doesn't it? That just popped into my head. All right, so nothing happens when I mean, it's kind of like it rotates it. That's kind of cool, but let's see what happens. Oh no, it's too fast. That's too violent. All right, well, here we go. That way. Oh no, I don't like it. All right, that's towards me. Oh, interesting. I didn't think about how the directions would translate. It's definitely translating differently. So there we go, that way. So left and right is actually forward and back. I need to redo the buttons. So left is back, right is forward. Left, back, right, forward. Forward is left. Okay, right is forward, so right should be number 1. Left is back, so left should be number 2. Was left, so that should be number 3, and this should be number 4. And I gotta rehook this up to reset them. There we go. All right, now the directions should be not the tilt, but they should coincide with the direction I want to move the object. All right, so now I want to move it towards me. I want to move it to the right. I want to move it away from me. This is good. It's working. Diagonal. Diagonal in the opposite direction. Diagonal back towards the left. We're gonna do like a diamond now. It works. This so works. This concept is so simple. Like, we have it in Scrap Mechanic. This is great. All right, and then That was a mistake. No, go that way. Go forward. Man, I really wish we could have more than 3 by 3, but it's really not gonna work. All right, and then stop. Wow, this just worked. The only thing I would want to change would be to make the pistons go slower or go less distance, but I don't have that ability. The biggest way to dampen that impact would be to widen the base. I think the easiest way would be to widen the base, but then that ruins what we're doing here. But at least as a concept, I mean, this thing works exactly the way we wanted it to. It's not too bad if you just keep a direction. When you go from flat and then up, it throws it a little bit. But keeping going in a direction. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, no, 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 oh, no, 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 this way, this way, this way. Then back towards me. Oh, it needs to be flat. Yeah, it has to be at least contacting 2 different rows. It can't be just on 1 row, I don't think. This is so cool. I'm so happy with this. We got it to work just like we wanted. Holotile. Scrap mechanic style. All right, so the one thing, there is one pretty cool thing that the Holotile can do that is way too complicated for this because it requires it to know where the object is in the floor. Although this floor is small enough that it doesn't matter. But what the Holotile can do, which is really interesting, is it can rotate the object intentionally. Right now, it's just kind of happening as a byproduct. It's not really with intent. But in order to do that, it has to have different angles on the different sides of the object so that it rotates one side backwards, one side forwards, and that creates like the rotation. This, we just have unidirectional. We can only go in one direction at a time. They all go in one direction at a time. I would have to have a button change different ones in different directions to create the rotational effect. And that, obviously, Scrap Mechanic's not going to handle that if it can hardly handle this. Here, let's bump up the speed a little bit. All right, I think that's too fast. I went up 2 notches. All right, here, let's go like this. So it's going to go to the left. Oh boy. Oh boy, this is kind of hard. Oh, I'm challenge. Try to keep it on without turning the engine off. This is so cool. All right, diagonal the other way, across. Yes, and then to the right. Diagonal to the right. Diagonal to the, uh-oh. Oh, no, no, no. This is fun. All right, and turn it off. Okay, well, now let's return it back to center. So I gotta go like this. There we go. That was pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna keep bumping the engine up until I fail. Oh, I tossed it a little bit. All right, it's gonna go left to start. Now let's go back down to the right. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Can I react fast enough without throwing it off? Oh, go this way, go this way, go this way. Okay, other way. Okay, up to the left. All right, back towards me. Oh, that wasn't quite back towards me as much as I thought it was gonna go. Oh, no, 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 no. Okay. All right, and I lost. Yeah, obviously, if we could, like, this is theoretically reproducible. Like, we could just build this more and more and create a bigger and bigger floor, and then we could just have super control over something. But if for the game lag with, like, the amount of moving parts this thing has, here, let's actually put it on a lift, and we can get exact values of what's in this that's making it so laggy. So just this 3x3 grid of tires, we have 81 bearings that close to each other and 36 pistons, all and 9 wheels all moving against each other. So it's not unimpressive that the game is allowing me to at least do something of this scale. So I'm happy with that. I set out to build the Holotile, the Disney Holotile floor in Scrap Mechanic, and I essentially did it. And apparently 7 years ago, if I just quit playing Scrap Mechanic and applied this stuff to real life, maybe I could have invented the Holo floor once upon a time. But nope, I'm playing Scrap Mechanic and Trailmakers. And letting all of my crazy ideas die in these games. But don't worry, Disney. If you want to contact me for some problem solving, if you have any problems with lag or something like that with your floor, then you know what? Don't contact me. I don't want to have to deal with that. But if you have any other ideas or suggestions or crazy inventions you'd like to see me try to replicate in Scrap Mechanic or Trailmakers, depending on what game is better suited for it, let me know down in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys did, you probably enjoy some more that you can find right here on the end screen. Hope this video has earned your subscription. Anyway, this has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time. Bye.